Barely.
1 second.
Can everybody at home hear us?
I can.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, 7 o'clock. Call the meeting to order with the pledge of allegiance, please stand, take your hats off and. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to welcome everybody to the workshop meeting, October 25th, 2022. Roll call, please, Mr. Mayor.
Ray Suchovich.
Present.
Trish Redzek, Showalter,
Present.
Nancy Carpenter.
Nancy's on a plane. She's going to try to Zoom, but
Okay.
we don't know how that's
I'll
going to
keep
work.
checking. When I see her pop up, I'll let her.
William Craig,
Here.
Vince Flota,
Here.
Sylvia Provenza,
Present,
Rhoda Wharf,
present,
David Recupero, I'm here, and Stephanie Wolford.
Here.
And congratulations on your new appointee position.
Thank you
I
very
wish you
much.
luck. You and I had talked the day after, so we're good to go.
Yep, here we go.
Here we go. Um,
May the record show that Stephanie has not officially started, so she is just jumping into action.
Good point. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie.
You're
Thank you,
welcome.
Stephanie. Any emergency additional agenda items from anybody? Okay, we're going to go to registered comments from the public. Is Carol Owens here? Or online?
I'm looking. There's a Carol C. Is there a Carol Owens online?
We're going to move on. If she comes on, we can go back to her. Next registered comment is Connie Wetmore.
Next meeting. go
Is there a
faster.
Connie Wetmore online?
Going once, going twice. Okay, well, we're going to move on to comments from the public on agenda-related items only. Council, we're comments on public, on agenda items. Please come to the podium and announce your name or raise your virtual.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Amy Caluso. I reside at 421 East Railroad Avenue. I'm here tonight with respect to the discussion item for the parking restriction on East Railroad Avenue. I spoke at a prior meeting on September 13th with regard to this restriction and presented some information and voiced the concerns and adverse effects that the residents were sustaining relative to this restriction. I'm hopeful that with their information I previously provided, together with council's own due diligence and that they performed in their observation of the property and the restricted area in question, that this restriction can be altered so as not to strictly benefit Avalotis to the detriment of the residents, but to benefit all parties involved. I'll be here tonight for the remainder of the meeting. If you require any additional information in the hopes of resolving this issue and come to an amicable solution for all parties. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else on agenda-related items only?
There are no virtual hands raised.
Okay, thank you. Discussion items from advisory boards, there's none. New business and action items needed. Yes, we had two people pass away that we felt that we should send flowers to this last month. State Representative DeLuca and past police chief of Verona and 30-year employee Kenny Eicheldinger. So we need a first, what's that?
We already did the Lucas last.
Did we do the Lucas?
Yes.
Okay, then we just need it for Chief Eicheldinger.
I'll make that motion.
second,
First by Mr. Craig, second by Sylvia. Mrs. Provenza, any questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
I understand that Kenny, and I shared this with other council people. when it's someone, for example, like Kenny, I don't feel that we should be using taxpayer dollars. If you individually want to, let's say, start a fund to buy flowers, I think that's great. But to use taxpayer dollars, I mean, there's like so many young people that don't even know who he is. And I just don't think it's appropriate to use taxpayer dollars. I'm not saying don't buy flowers. I just felt it should come out of our pocket. You know, individual pockets. If you want to donate for flowers, then you can do so. But I had a problem with using taxpayer dollars. And I'm just sharing that with you.
Very good, thank you. Anybody else?
We know how much the flowers were. Kelly?
I'm not exactly sure. We told them like $60, $70. So I didn't see any bills for that yet. When I've been signing the checks.
Again, I don't even know if we took a vote.
To do that?
Yeah.
Well, and Rhoda, go ahead, and we're gonna go, I'll step further down into discussion items.
Okay.
We have that to bring up for one of the committees to research something.
I think it's great if we establish a policy.
That's what, yeah, we do. You're right.
Okay.
Okay, with that being said, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. Okay, here we go. Discussion items. Okay, we'll go first with council committees and current priorities. Ms. Resdick Showalter.
Thank you, Mr. President. Everyone should have received a copy of the revised committees and priorities. Note, there is an edit that's not reflected here, which we'll go over in a moment. I just want to note that in order to ensure a smooth transition with a lot of the changes, we wanted to maintain the committees as they are in terms of nature and purpose, and shuffle people as minimally as possible while still playing to our strengths in light of many of the current priorities we are facing. And also in time, these are some priorities that Stephanie may be able to take on. But in the interim, just to kind of keep things moving, you may be faced with some things that may not normally be taken on by a council member, but just again, in order for the good of the order, just to keep us moving forward. We just kind of spelled some things out. And this is of course open to discussion. It's not meant to be all encompassing because we all know how things will pop up. But just briefly, I'll take us through the committee. So finance is going to be chaired by Dr. Nancy Carpenter. Her and Rhoda are switching chairs. So Rhoda will be chairing, as she has been, the community development. So also on finance with Dr. Carpenter is William Craig and Rhoda. Thank you, Rhoda, for staying on. Community development again is chaired by Rhoda, and that will also be shared with Sylvia Provenza and Dr. Nancy Carpenter again. Infrastructure and asset management will still be chaired by myself, and joining me will be Dr. Carpenter and William Craig. Recreation community events will be chaired by our newest member, William Craig, and Vince Flota and myself will stay on that committee. Communications will now be chaired by Vince Flota, and Sylvia Provenza and myself will stay on that committee. Public safety will now be chaired by Sylvia Provenza. We've got us such a lovely grant, a big head start in moving some things forward along with public safety. And Vince Flota and Rhoda will stay on our committee. We also have representatives to two important groups that Verona is a part of, the Allegheny Valley North Council of Governments, or our COG. The delegate will remain Rhoda Wharf. And I put William Craig as an alternate. I know Dr. Nancy Carpenter mentioned if it should happen, you're not available, she would also be willing to attend that as well. And then the Allegheny League of Municipalities, ALOM, our delegate will remain Sylvia Provenza, and Rhoda Wharf will remain the alternate for that. I don't want to read all of the priorities. Again, the intention behind each of the committees will remain the same in terms of what the kind of goal was outlined earlier this year by President Matlin. But just to highlight a few of the key ones, finance, obviously, budget is at the forefront. And we will be advertising a special meeting in order to discuss the budget in November. And the other major thing that we are working on is the contracts. So we'll have an update on that too. Also, don't want to forget ARPA. There will be some key deadlines coming up in the coming years that we want to make sure we capitalize on that opportunity. I think a little bit later, we'll get into the senior citizen discount tax that our new borough manager, Stephanie Wolford, has some information on, which is great. And of course, the ongoing sewer fund replacement policy and the minimum fund balance policy. So community development, some things just at the top of the mind with that are things that have been brought up a lot lately: maintenance of private property with public funds policy, shared with public safety, developing a system for maintaining and ranking a list of our unfortunately many known condemned houses in the borough, and assisting with some demolitions that are supposed to be happening before winter, just making sure those things keep moving along. Infrastructure and asset management will continue with some of the asset management things that we have been working on, as well as a few things that have been brought up recently, such as assisting as needed with the DPW contract, which after a recent session, I'm not sure how much assistance is needed. I think that's moving along fine. But glass recycling was recently brought up, along with the salt shed relocation and some of the paving things that we're working on. Recreation and community events. We recently realized some needs in regards to trees, so hoping to work with Shade Tree for that, as well as some issues related to pruning. And unfortunately, the spotted lanternfly has become a problem in Verona. So coming up with a plan to address that, along with the community garden, which is its inaugural year. We're still determining how things should work with that, and we need some policies in terms of annual dues for the rentals and so on and so forth. I also added an issue that we'll talk about tonight that was brought up in public comments regarding to the Avalotis truck access parking situation. And I noted potentially the bike derby, which was unfortunately missed last year and during the pandemic. So we're hoping to bring that back. Communications is looking a little different at the moment, just again, due to our current needs and the transition that's going on with our taking on our new manager. So Vince, thank you so much. You've already jumped right into this position, keeping Zoom going and the recordings and getting the Curtis Marquee. If anyone hasn't seen it lately, it's now reflecting current events along with nice things like weather. So that's much appreciated. Certainly we'll be working more to update the website, and I'm sure you and Stephanie will maybe tag team that a little bit. Social media, as well as continuing some of those longstanding policies we've needed, such as a social media policy and a general communication plan for the borough. And last but not least, public safety. So again, potentially wrapping up the contracts discussions. Some longer term things that have been brought up, most notably by the mayor, is just working on full-time officer recruitment program and even part-time officer recruitment program potentially. Maintenance of private property, as mentioned above, with public funds, which is shared with community development. Again, hopefully assisting with the bike derby. And those are just, again, a few things that were kind of at the top of mind and not all of them. So that's what we just wanted to lay out tonight. If anyone wants to discuss any committee or any particular priority, we're happy to do so.
Any questions up from anybody? Everybody good?
It's a
Okay,
good plan to me.
cool.
And we can always adjust,
Yes.
next year. Thank you.
Thank you. Number 2 would be the police and DPW contracts. That would be myself. By the way, I forgot to mention this earlier. We had an exec session last night on personnel. And that's what we discussed, the police and DPW contracts. And we got our final findings from us to fill in the blanks for the contracts. Our solicitors took it back to his office. He's gonna insert the numbers in the proper places and the wording that we changed. And hopefully we have that back from him soon so we can check and make sure there's no typos. And we can get that out to the police and DPW, give them a little bit of time to look it over and see if they're happy with it. And then maybe if we have to sit down with them, the committee, we formed a committee to sit down with DPW and police to, not negotiate, but just question back and forth and go from there. So that's where the police and DPW contracts stand.
And they will renew every 3 and 4 years.
They're one's a 3-year and one's a 4-year, correct? So yes,
So it's an unusual year having both of them.
yes, but you gotta figure next year, yeah, right. So with that being said on DPW and police contracts, anybody have any questions on that? Okay, thank you.
Thanks to everyone who'll be meeting
Yep.
with the staff and taking it forward.
The next thing I have is the liquid fuels audit findings. We got a letter from financial people from the audits from liquid fuels, from the Department of Transportation. I think we all have a copy. Our offices in receipt of a copy of the audit report of your liquid fuels tax fund for the period January 1, 2020 to December 31, 2021, as prepared by the Department of the Auditor General. We have reviewed the findings as contained in the audit report and have determined that your borough should reimburse its liquid fuels tax fund in the amount of $7,963.16. When this reimbursement has been made, please send a copy of this letter and the deposit information to our office at the address below. This reimbursement should be included as a miscellaneous receipt on the actual use report, MS 965, for the period in which the deposit was made. Future fuels allocations will be contingent upon proper reimbursement. So they did their audit. The audit was found that this is what the audit found. So I think at this point in time, do we want to discuss? Does anybody have any questions on this? Here, we got a copy of the audit. I think we all got a copy of the audit at our desk.
Yeah.
Today,
So again, the period is basically all 2020 and all of 2021.
correct.
It's 2 years.
Now, it seems like in the past year, we've been making sure to use funds from our liquid fuels tax fund whenever we can, especially in light of the issues with our general fund balance and wanting to make sure we have rainy day funds. So I was a little surprised that we need to pay this back, but I think during this period was perhaps when we weren't doing as much thorough replication.
I believe that's what it was, to be honest with you. I didn't get a chance to look at, we just got this today. So I didn't get a chance to look at this. And it doesn't say that this has to be done tonight. We just got this on October the 5th from the state. So is there any question? Do we want to act on this tonight? Do we want to, everybody go home and research their audit? What's everybody's thoughts?
Our recent practice has been workshop is more for discussion and only acting on the urgent items and saving things like this for the business meeting, which would also give us some extra time to review.
Okay,
Yeah, Personally, I'd like more time to look
Okay.
at this and see.
Okay,
well then we're going to table this until the business meeting. We'll put this on a business meeting for November 15th. That'll give you some extra week too because of the change in the
If we
meeting.
find out that this needs to be acted on before that, then
Yes.
obviously pay it ratified at the business meeting.
There's no date on here that it has to be,
It was February.
but that,
It was
I think
February.
it's,
Okay, well then we're good.
I think, don't quote me on that.
okay.
I'm just saying if we need to pay it before the next meeting, or we lose our future
right,
liquid fuels then.
right. Well,
If we have
either,
till February, that's. fine.
either Teresa or Stephanie can look into that and get back with us as to what has to be done. Okay, any other questions on liquid fuels findings? Next would be Rhoda on hiring a full-time code enforcement officer.
Yeah, budget time. I don't know where we're gonna find the money, but we desperately need a code enforcer. And I was asking around, and even Sylvia, there's a lot of other municipalities that do not want to share services. So somehow, whoever's gonna be working on the budget needs to work something out. Mike, I think is very good, but every time I try to meet with him, they want to charge by the hour. I'm not gonna pay $65 to sit and talk to him of things that I think need to be addressed. And it's because he's with BIU, so something has to be worked out. We can't afford, every tip sheet that, comes in is $65.
Right.
And again, he's very good. He addresses everything. You can see the changes. But we have to work something out that we see if we can afford someone full-time. We're gonna have to pay benefits, I'm sure, unless you can work something out with, if he's married and let's say his spouse is, has benefits. But something has to be done because I'm telling you, driving around Verona, there's a lot of people that their properties are not up to code and it's starting to look really bad.
Does he drive around when he comes in?
No, because if he does, I asked that, I told him, I said, let's ride around. And he has to charge you by the hour. 'cause
So
he's
he
working for
basically just
BIU.
works on a tip sheet then.
Exactly. No tip sheets, no work. And yeah, if he would do that, that's fine. But again, he's now contracted with BIU. He's not really our code enforcer. We contract with that company. And like I said, he's very, very good. I had asked Teresa if I could, maybe sit down and meet with him, give me a buzz when he's in. And he made no effort to contact to say, hey, listen, let's sit down and talk. Because I even told Teresa, I don't feel like we should have to pay to sit down and ask, hey, do you want a job?
Right.
So something has to be done.
The reason why I asked that, because up there by the ball field, there's there's a sidewalk with two,
Oh,
that's been almost a year and I've been getting complaints and I have a call into Teresa. I told her that he needs to look into that Monday and resolve, Thursday
Yeah.
and resolve that.
it's over a year.
Yeah, well, okay.
Yeah. And you know what?
Right by, Paddington Mill lives there.
Yeah.
Right
Oh, okay.
there.
Right at that driveway there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of code violations, crumbled up sidewalks, things of this nature. And, we have to get on it because if we don't watch our Ps and Qs, the whole fabric of Verona can change overnight. And that's where I feel like we're heading right now. And it's concerning. It's very concerning to me.
And you said you've talked to other municipalities. Nobody wants to kind of share.
Lawnox
service.
isn't really interested. I think Sylvia even touched base. I thought maybe another small
called about 5
municipality.
different municipalities.
Yeah. And a lot of them have their own. So, but it's something to, investigate
Does anyone know what,
further.
does Oakmont have one?
They had BIU. That's how we hooked up with BIU.
Because I wonder if we couldn't have, I agree with you.
They're not interested in it.
Not that for us per se, but maybe we could have a multifaceted approach where I don't know how much we ask the current officers, but perhaps new hires, new full-time officers would be willing to help to take some of the load of that.
We had Officer Bill, again, their attitude is, I got hired as a police officer, not a code enforcer.
But perhaps if we wrote the job description in a way to attract someone who's interested in that.
We've gone down that avenue. Officer Bill is good.
Well, he actually didn't do code enforcement.
Mhm.
He did ordinances under borough code.
Okay, he enforced, yeah.
Right,
okay.
and the police officers, all police officers are responsible for borough code.
But they don't.
They don't. You're absolutely right. And I push the chief constantly to do that.
I know. I even mentioned before, they ride around. They know this town better than anyone because they're out 24/7.
Mhm.
Carry a clipboard. If you see something, just write the address.
And
down.
and
Don't even
I've
go.
been after the chief to do that.
Yeah.
That's their responsibility. It's in the borough code.
Yeah,
And it's all I get is they're police officers. They don't want to do ordinances.
I
And
know,
there's the door then.
I know.
That's
I know.
my feeling.
And
That's
I'm
part
not
of the
even-
borough code.
Yeah, I'm not even asking him to get out of the car. Just look at the address. and
They write it down.
But yeah, we have to address it and it needs to be addressed immediately because I'm telling you, ride around and check out some of the properties. I mean, a lot of people are just not watching their P's and Q's, and there's a lot of rentals that are just not, and it's not fair to the people that do take care of their property. It's just not fair.
I think we definitely need to highlight that, and it's literally highlighted behind you, for the
Big time.
finance, for the finance
Yeah.
committee to look
There-
at the budget.
Yeah, the interest is there.
Yeah, and in the meantime, I'd have to know if public safety could maybe pick, instead of saying to the police, do some code, maybe we could pick 1 to 3 key issues. And maybe be a bit more specific about that, maybe they would be willing to do that. I don't know if it's grass or
They mainly did, trash,
trash.
grass, high weeds, snow removal, pretty much the basic, like every other community does.
My concern is when I see hanging gutters, broken storm doors hanging off 2 screws. I mean, come on. People that have junk on, trash and what have you on their front porch,
Right,
high hedges in the front. It's just not fair it's not right and fair to the other taxpayer. That's what I'm getting at.
so, you are on public safety still, Rhoda, so maybe, maybe that's something they would be willing to do, because gutters, I imagine it's not as much as high grass.
That would be, follow under code, borough code, not ordinance.
So they cannot enforce.
We have to get people to get in compliance is what you have to do. And you need someone that's gonna write them a citation because you asking them, hey, do you think you could fix your gutter? It's not gonna work.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's a safety feature.
It is a safety, which is why I think this is something we should work on as well from a safety and police perspective.
Well, first you check your budget and see what money you have available, because if you're gonna hire someone, you're not gonna pay them 15, 20,000. You're gonna pay them, you have to pay them a substantial amount. Because it's a talent. I mean, they go to school, they're, educated in that field. So
Well, Christine talked to that Mike about that, didn't she?
it was always a discussion, but we never sat down and talked. I mean, seriously. And again, it's all about the money and the benefits.
One of the municipalities that I spoke with use their firemen to do the code enforcement. And I have a call into the chief. I just haven't heard from him. I'd like to know his plan of how do you do this? Do you pay them? Do they volunteer? What is the story with
To the
it?
firemen?
How could the fire,
Are these borough employee firemen or volunteer firemen?
I'm not sure.
I'll
I'm
bet
gonna
you- I'll
say
bet you they're
volunteer, but I'm
hard
not
firemen.
sure.
no one's gonna do it because I love my town. I think I'm just gonna give you 20 hours a week of my
Yeah, no,
time.
I'll bet you they're
You're
hired
not-
firemen.
it has to
And
be-
it's
The
what they
firemen
do
have
on their
enough
off
to do.
time.
Oh, yeah.
Which
Well,
borough is it?
No, you have to pay someone. I
Where was
mean,
that, Sylvia?
Pardon me?
Which borough?
Swissville.
Yeah, they're paid.
Are they?
Swissville's paid.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I didn't ask that. But I do have a call into the chief. I want to see what is their procedure for doing this. It would be interesting.
Even if they're doing it,
I'd
Yeah.
like to know.
be diligent
I think
about
that's a creative thought.
No, I
Yeah,
agree.
that's how we can work on the problem until we can have it.
Sure, sure. I don't want to dwell on it, take up a lot of time.
No,
I
it's
just,
a
yeah,
good point.
so, okay.
Anything else on that,
No,
Rhoda?
no, no, thank you. so
Anybody
much.
have anything for Rhoda on that? Okay, the next thing would be flower policy, myself and Trish. Basically, like I said at the beginning of this, we need to come up with some type of policy.
Right.
And I'm not sure what committee we can use on that or whatever, community development.
Maybe Stephanie, maybe
Communication.
from RCAC, if we can think of something that,
Just
when we
some
used to
type
do
of a
things.
policy to come up with on,
Who to send flowers.
who to send flowers to, who
Yeah.
not to send flowers to. I personally, and I'll say this in public, I don't have a problem with sending them for a past chief like that. for an employee. That's just my opinion.
I agree. We've done it in the past,
Yeah.
including longtime firemen,
Yes,
that passed away.
Policy will help with that if it states, if somebody was an employee of the borough for more than X amount of years, then,
Well, yeah.
because that way we don't
Well,
want
what
to be
happens
sending
if someone gets
flowers.
hurt in a line, or something happens in a line of duty?
Well, I was gonna
Oh,
say,
we're not gonna send them flowers because,
but you,
he was only here
you
for
can
a
say
year.
long-term or current.
Yes, or current, yeah. But I don't want to be sending flowers to somebody who worked here for 3 months and no longer works here.
oh, no, right,
Or even-
okay, I see what
even
you're
three
saying,
You know what I
right,
mean?
right, right.
So if they worked here last year, but they worked somewhere else and something unfortunate happened to them, then
Well, that's why we need to come up with some type of written policy, so then that way we know.
what Red said is good, like X amount of years or current, current employee.
Again, keep in perspective. You're using other people's money.
Understand.
You know, if you want to just be a bleeding heart, that's great. You pay for it out of your own pocket.
But I think
Or
it
start a
also,
little kitty, you're fine.
but I
That
think
could
it
be the
also makes the
policy.
borough look good sending flowers too.
I think it's nice. A card also works.
And that
You
could be
know.
in the policy that if individual borough council members want to donate to help offset the cost to the taxpayers.
Yeah, you
then
can
we
word it,
can.
yeah.
Or there could be like tiers or suggestions of different
Yeah.
things for different categories.
You know, it'd be interesting, check what Oakmont does, see what they do. Look at other municipalities and see what they do. Because I'll guarantee you, they probably have a very, just, very, detailed policy of
Very
what
policy.
they're doing. Oh, I'll guarantee you. So I think maybe we can maybe sneak a peek up there, and see what they use.
As far as which committee, possibly the community events portion of rec.
Well, even if it's not a committee, the manager can make something up, for heaven's sake.
And I could, our communication meeting is right after recreation and community event, so that could kind of become mingled because it's.
Well, if somebody
it's
can
kind
come
of
up with
a,
something,
Communication.
Yeah, I
issue
mean,
put
this
it
also.
together.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Vince makes a good point. Yeah, we meet tomorrow, so.
Yeah,
between
we
the
can
two
talk about
committees,
tomorrow.
we can talk about
There
it.
you go.
Okay, cool. Anybody else on that? Thank you. The next thing would be cleaning services contract review. I'm not sure when the contract is up. It says.
Where's that?
The agreement is entered. Kirkman,
Number 6.
did you get Kirkman, Rhoda?
Is this
No,
a
that's
new
what I'm
company?
looking
It's
at.
this one.
No, this is who we have
Oh,
now.
yeah, I know, but I'm looking here, I don't have one. Well, you know what, that's all right, but the thing is, I have something to say about that.
What I was.
Yeah, oh, here it is, okay.
Yeah, this started March 21st, or March 1st of 2021. It doesn't, I didn't really look at every detail because it's this big paragraph.
So this is the current.
This is the current company that we use.
Okay.
In my understanding.
It ends,
And it ends
end of February. This
February
coming year.
23rd. I see it now. So there's been some, I guess, some minor complaints that this contract isn't being adhered to, doing the job, doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah,
So I guess the question is,
We got that one,
was that,
we got that one from that other company.
Coverall. I
Yeah.
have the quotes with me.
Yeah, I do too.
Now, does anyone know if anyone has reached out to Kirkman to express some of our
probably not.
displeasure?
I think Christine mentioned that she did it more than a few times.
I had complained to Christine, and I don't know why isn't anyone, I'm mopping the history room. Why am I mopping the history
It
room?
shouldn't be.
I mean, not a big deal, but
Well,
the
it
thing
because
is,
you're paying them to do it.
I'm using a scrub, I mean, I shouldn't be having to do that.
I
Yes,
actually-
and now we have a concession stand at Cribs.
We do need to add that, but I was gonna say, we actually don't have mopping, under.
No, yeah.
Under historical room, we have, vacuum.
I don't have a rug.
and spot clean.
Yeah, whoever come up with
Put a rug
this,
Yeah. I'm gonna have to put a rug.
in. Wall to wall, and then you
They
don't have to
also
worry
don't
about
have, in the police station, those holding cells as far as cleaning.
Well, I know when they clean that stuff, you can't smell anything like Mr. Clean or something. I mean, I need to smell a disinfectant.
Well, we have these people till February of next year. So it's something that we need to maybe come up with a little bit of a better, what has to be done.
Mhm.
Just for instance, you're right, there's nothing in here under mopping the history room. So that should, stuff like that should be done.
It's mopping the lobbies, entrances and hallways. The history hall room doesn't
Yeah.
have that.
Right.
And, so maybe we can sit down as some committee or some people and just come up with what we need to add to this or delete from this.
Okay.
And then we can put this out for bid for February,
Right, right.
because we're
still
coming
do
close
it.
to the end of our contract with that.
I'll do it till February.
But we don't want to wait till February to do it.
It's my understanding that this curtain company, it's just, very small. It's not, it's just like a mom and pop.
I think it is.
And that's good. I mean, you want to support.
It is,
small
but
companies, you
it
know.
has its pros and cons. One of the cons would be if it is a company that only has 2 or 3 workers and they're from the same household. I mean, COVID has taught us that they could be out for a month.
Yeah.
So it might be better to look into a larger company that actually has substitutes, or if workers get sick, they have other workers that they can send out. So that way the building isn't not being cleaned for 3 weeks. you
Right,
know?
right, right.
And actually, as far as the cleaning and the smell, most public buildings now are supposed to use unscented because of allergies to
Oh,
something.
yeah, okay, I
Yeah.
can buy that. Okay. But the thing is, yeah, I mean, you can pretty much,
I mean, I'm not saying whether
Yeah,
they're doing
yeah.
it or not, but the
You
smell
can look
isn't.
around and see that there's stuff that hasn't been dusted.
Right,
There's
right,
cobwebs
right.
around and stuff.
I can give up
So,
Mr. Clean then.
Maybe if we all
Well,
looked
that-
over this,
yeah.
come up with some, look this over this contract and add and delete what we think and come up with a new one. We can have it ready to go to put out for bid at the end of the year.
Like I said, we already have a couple bids.
Yeah,
from
we have.
a couple, like a month ago. This means for the call out for bids.
It wouldn't hurt also to call these other places that they, listing as references and say, hey, how do you like their services?
Right. Anybody else have anything on that? Okay, the next thing would be county hauling contract. And I have no contract in front of me for county hauling. But there's been so many complaints with county hauling. Does anybody know, Dave, do you know, or Rhoda, when their contract is up?
I think they still have like 3 more years.
3 more years?
And you know what? I know this is after the fact, and even when I was on council before, you never take a contract after 5 years. Maybe 2 and 3
Through
or
May
3 and 2.
31st of 2024.
Is it 2024?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I believe
Okay.
I believe we were keeping track of so many complaints in order to use that to get out of the contract, as all those complaints that we had.
We had a bazillion.
Sure. And
Well-
Laura just brought up.
Yeah, we had a bazillion complaints and nothing,
Well, that's up to the board to pursue it. Then if we have all those complaints,
never saw them.
Well, I guess Teresa and Christine was running a list.
right,
So maybe when our new borough manager gets in, she can, along with all her other duties, look into this in her time.
Yeah.
She'll know her priorities and what's going on, but I personally have had no problem with county hauling. But I see so many people that have,
I haven't either.
I
and
mean,
and the other thing too is every time we get a complaint, we call them. Don't call them. You come here in front of the board. Inconvenience them, by getting here in front of the public, in front of the board.
you mean county hauling?
County hauling, yes. Instead of picking up the phone, hey, we got a complaint again on the same complaint, get them here and then express all the complaints that you have in front of the public.
I
I
think
believe
the
that
soli-
happened early, like 2 years ago. They had
I think the
a
solicitor was
representative.
working on that list along with Christine
Yeah.
and Teresa. And they've reached out to county hauling numerous times. And for a while, I guess it got better. Now I guess you got a few complaints last week or a week before or something.
Yeah, several people brought it up and I'm still upset about their decision to just halt trash pickup in lieu of the delinquent accounts. That didn't seem like a reasonable solution, especially from a public safety and sanitary perspective. I just wanted to see if the council would be in favor, if we have enough tallies to pursue getting out of contracts.
If they're not gonna rectify their issues, I have no problem with reaching out to,
And if they're
trying
in
to get
breach
out
of
of
their
the
contract,
contract.
if they're already in breach
If
of
they're
the
in breach of it,
contract,
right. If it's gonna cost us
Right.
money to get out of it, then
You
that's a
probably have
different
to look
story.
at the contract and see what the actual
Yeah.
I was gonna.
steps are to do that.
Right, and I think we can get a hold of the solicitor
Yeah.
and ask him to, where we stand.
And we better have concrete because,
Yeah.
if we're gonna attack them,
You're going against a company, whether
And
they're
their
waste
attorneys pay
management
for
or
it.
county hauling, they're gonna have people behind them.
but I'm telling you, if you guys, get into another contract, never get along. Yeah, I don't
why that
know
went 5
why,
years.
I'm telling you, 3 and 2 or 2 or 3, you never get a 5-year.
Because I think all the boroughs that signed with county hall.
So,
And they underbid it in every
well,
municipality.
and that's
around
why
here.
every municipality.
I
has to
find
take
that
it,
amazing.
Because we have to take the lowest bid.
Not if there's complaints.
Yes, I
Yeah,
know,
but-
but originally,
But
before they
we had no
started,
complaints because we didn't have them
Wasn't
before.
it?
Well,
Complaints.
actually, I'll tell you something, and Matt can verify this. I called Matt because I had known some people from like Duquesne area and things like that, and they were complaining. I called Matt. I wasn't even on council, but I thought to be a Nebby knows. I called Matt and I said, you guys better look into it. And nothing was done. And I don't think we did our homework before we did that. Because I think you could have avoided getting them because of, other people's problems.
They have contracts right now with Oakmont, Verona, Plum.
Shaler, I see them out there when I,
mean,
yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, they were in Oakmont, I think, before they were in Verona. if I'm not
If
Right
not
about
right
the
around
same
the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right around the
Um,
same
County
time,
hauling
right?
or Noble? Or the,
Same company.
Same
They
company.
use different trucks. They rent
They
their.
bought-
so when I was in Lancaster 2 weeks ago, they were up there, Noble.
Wow.
So they're kind of spread out.
I mail my money, my bill to New York. So I don't know what kind of
Well,
Mickey Mouse
Lancaster's-
operation it is.
I do mine online, it goes, I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't mean to drag it up.
No, no.
So,
So, okay, anybody else have anything on county hauling?
So you'll talk to our solicitor about the status of our
I think that's it, that you find out the status,
See
basically.
what we can do.
Yeah. There you go.
They're everywhere, I see them everywhere.
Mm.
Okay,
Good news is we only have until May 31st, 2024. If
Yeah.
all other avenues fail.
all right.
Basically a year and a half.
Yes,
And by the time you put bids out for a new company, I mean, that's the other thing, is it gonna be really worth it to look into getting them for breach of contract and pay solicitor fees and everything else, when it might take you till April of 2024 to
Right.
That's
get
a
it
good
settled?
point.
or just wait it out and
And yeah, wait,
Because
not
yeah,
accept
because
the
you
bid.
figure
in the
Next year at
second,
this
yeah.
time, you're probably gonna start making proposals for bids anyway. If you started now, you're not gonna have a new person in place by January 1st.
that's
No.
true. That's a good point.
Maybe by spring of next year.
If
maybe.
you're lucky, yeah, that's what I mean. So we might
Maybe just weather the storm.
Well,
Mhm.
try and keep them more accountable from now until then.
And record everything, so that way when we don't renew the contract, we go
Right.
with somebody else. We
With-
can say
But
it's for
people,
X, Y, and Z
you gotta,
reasons.
the thing
Right.
is, too,
People come
residents
in-
gotta call down here and file the complaint with Teresa so she can keep it on the file.
Yeah, and then we have. a
If they're
paper
just
trail.
telling, one of us, or
Or
just.
post on Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that does no good. That's not concrete evidence to go against them.
And if
So,
we have the list of complaints and they come in with the low bid again, we can skip them because
justified,
we have complaints.
yes,
And that's what past council was urging people, like,
Yeah.
don't just say stuff on Facebook
right.
or. you
Come to
know,
council
Come down,
meetings.
or come down to the borough building and tell the secretary or tell the police and file a formal complaint. If they drove through your yard and tore up the grass, call the police and file a complaint or have them file a citation for damage of your property. That way, there's an actual paper trail that is on file.
So just to reiterate for everyone on Zoom and watching later, to please, as you said,
Yes.
please file and document.
Yeah, that's the only way could beat them. Anybody else have anything on county hall? Okay, thank you. The next thing is South Avenue parking issues, the mayor.
Yes, I even asked Annette, I know we had, parking on South Avenue, permit parking. I have no idea where the signs went. The other day, when I was in town getting the mail, there was 11 cars parked on, both sides. And you can only get one vehicle down the road. And it was never, ever like that. We need to push these business people that are working here into the parking lots. I have no problem, and I think we did make arrangements for people that lived on Allegheny River Boulevard to park on the, overnight, that they were allowed to park. And I have no problem. There was a couple that has a business on the boulevard which lives up street. I know they park there, and I have no problem giving them a permit to park there because there's nowhere else to park.
Right.
But the business people that come to work, we need to push them back in the parking lots and not on free parking.
Yeah.
I mean,
noticed
we
that
go
the
park
other day.
for a month for $15, I believe it is, per month, or 10. I can't remember.
Wonder
what
if
it
we know
was.
where these people are, if they're taking a bus or if they're business people.
Well, that's another thing too. It's a good question if they're
Bus.
taking a bus.
Right.
And I know, and even Annette says
We don't
that,
have any ordinance or anything against parking like we do on Center, right?
see, we'd have to look and see.
Now,
We
now,
put,
I would say it's probably not bus, because it was in the last month that I've noticed it, and there was no buses there
True.
because of the
That's right.
detour. So,
Yeah, they're going
so they
center.
wouldn't have been parking there to catch a bus anyway. 'cause they
And it's
wouldn't have
not the dentist office either, because that lot was empty, but yet both sides were, there was 11 cars between both
been- Yeah,
sides.
I saw that.
And you
the
can
other
only
day,
get
too.
one car down, so if you're coming up and there's 3 behind you, you had to wait till the light changed. And it's never been like that.
Yep.
I'm just suggesting to the board to put, naturally, once the weather, starts to move in, we shut that road down. But we only need, you only have to do one side,
That's
not
what I was
both
gonna
sides.
suggest. Could we just make the
Or no parking at all.
dentist side of the road, since they have a parking lot, and that's the only business or house on that side of the road, from Brunot to the boulevard, could we make I guess that would be the south side. Could we make that no parking in that way? Because I know the other side is the church side.
I was
Right.
just gonna
And
say
people
one.
do park to go to church,
Yeah,
but they could park on the church side of the street, so that way they don't have to cross the wet
right.
cobblestone and leave that parking on the left, if you're looking up south, parking on the left, and no parking on the right. With that,
So
it
it's
might
some-
help alleviate, at least give room for 2 cars to go.
This
Up
is
and
something that the board needs to look
Well,
into.
just like we did on Second Day, a permit parking
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
From certain times.
Right. And just
I
one
don't know if
other,
that's an ordinance. I don't know if that. would-
that is an ordinance,
So
yeah.
then we'd have to make an ordinance to do that.
And then we gotta check, because even Annette said she remembers it being, no parking or, permit parking.
Well, look under E-code 360, we pay for that service. I mean, just type in E-code 360 and it comes up.
And I just would like to say too, because several people have asked me, St. Joseph Church, is it sold? No, it's not sold, but they are tearing down the rectory.
Yes.
Because they had a lot of water damage and it's wasn't feasible.
And I actually talked to someone, it was a trustee there, and he said they also found a lot of asbestos in there.
Yeah,
So that's why it was better to tear it down than to
so people,
remediate.
right, so people have been asking, why, why is it big excavator there? But that's the reason why.
Yeah.
That's all I have, Mr. President.
Thank you. Anybody else have anything for the mayor on that? Okay, number 9, East Railroad Avenue parking near Avalos, Ms. Resdick Showalter.
Yes, several of us have met with residents who raised the issues, and we're speaking about the issues that Amy brought up earlier. And I actually meant to list, to list you again, I apologize.
No problem.
Because you kind of have taken this on, and perhaps we should start with the photos. Just for anyone who hasn't had a chance to make it down, or anyone watching this on Zoom. So this is the exit out of Gables into the street that clearly needs some paving.
So what are you showing us? For what reason?
There's no parking
This
from
is the no
here
park-
These are
Parking
the
that-
new signs.
Okay, okay.
The producers were discussing
here.
that.
Okay,
their house is directly across
Okay,
from this section. right
okay,
here.
I get it. So do you want it paved?
No,
Well,
Oh,
they want to be able to park there.
oh, okay.
Sure, yeah.
Because I know, yeah, because I know you guys were complaining about the parking, but yeah, I just, okay,
well, that's actually the side of the road.
right.
Did you
The
talk,
pictures of the side of the road were showing the truck tracks, how wide they have to
Oh,
come.
I get you,
Yes,
okay,
yes.
yeah, okay.
which one was that?
No,
So-
one more back, I think.
Okay, what are some solutions, instead of us just sitting here looking at, it,
So Red
let's
had,
come up with some solutions.
Red had met with Avalotis, in addition to Amy.
Yeah.
And we have some proposals.
Yeah,
You met with Chris?
no, I met with Paul. Darvin.
Okay, okay.
I did talk to him, and if you go to the picture, the first picture, Vince, he did mention that, Amy, your mother's car is part of the problem because it's so close to the gate that they have to hug. If she could just back up a little bit.
But let me tell you something, she backed up, she's further up now so we can fit other cars.
Okay,
Before, she was back.
Okay,
there,
well, I'm-
there.
but-
And she's always told them she can move the car at any given moment.
okay,
So that was not the problem.
Well,
Just so you know, just you're aware of that.
but they did say that they were okay. Go to the picture that shows the corner. With using this for parking and moving the sign like over to the trees,
So we can move the sign over to in front of these trees. and give
As
them
long
2
as you're
parking
like-
spots.
all the way onto the grass.
Oh, yeah, we always. park
Well,
there.
I'm-
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
I understand
But,
that.
but they're okay with that.
Okay. Now, the question though, that I know Mr. Furter brought up before was relative to the winter time. whenever there's
Yeah.
snow. That's the problem, because they come down, they make one pass and back up and then push all that snow into that corner.
Okay.
That's the only issue.
Right.
Now, I mean, if I was to be willing to open up the gate and let them put it in there off to the corner, that'd be fantastic.
Or maybe they could
Or-
push,
or-
or maybe they could just
Railroad.
push it, pull it out and push it across from you.
With the railroad, yeah,
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, push it
toward the railroad.
into the
yeah.
railroad gravel.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or even like stop before that and pull it over. If you go to the next picture, I think it is,
well, you'd have to tell AJ and those guys.
Yeah. Into that area, push the bulk of it into that area.
Into the, where there will still be no parking.
Correct.
And it's still doable, it's doable.
Exactly, yeah. That I told you, we have
And I,
zero problem with that, yeah. I know we've all.
yeah, we talked about that and I talked with them and
Yeah.
they were okay with that too.
Now, the trees, I know we mentioned the trees that were there on the side.
Yeah.
Was that borough trees, did you find out? Because they were, you were talking about possibly removing them, if need be. And then-
Yes, I don't think we have the property line yet.
Well, from the looks of the map, it looks like it continues, their fence line along the tracks there is the property line,
Yes,
which those are in borough property.
okay,
And that's actually part of, those are the tree of heaven trees, that are the lanternfly trees. So that's part of what we're gonna be looking for.
to try to get rid of
To
those
get them
trees
cut
because
down
of
or
the-
pruned.
That'll solve that
So
problem.
Yeah.
now, would the parking extend to the end of that last tree once they're removed? Or only right where you're showing right now, where the grass is up to that tree?
I
Up
was
to the
ass-
tree,
I was assuming we would put the sign right in front of where the trees are,
yes.
Okay.
because that would give you or whoever lives there.
At least two, possibly three.
Head-in parking spots,
Correct, correct.
if that is amicable for.
So
what
you're
you guys
talking about
need.
backing in parking lot.
Or just pull it in,
Pulling.
Yeah.
I use typically I back in.
or
Well,
whatever your
same thing,
preference.
front
Well, it's just easier to pull out that
Yeah.
way.
As long as they're not sideways and
Oh,
diagonal.
never know.
But we can't, I don't think we come up much any further than them trees.
No,
No, but that should give Avalotis, like Fred said,
Yep.
that they will have enough room to swing it up.
And it'll appease them and, yeah, so it'll
Yeah.
work out,
I think that's a good.
that's good.
And and I did notice, and I was observing the last couple days. Also, when they're pulling in, because of all the debris and whatever they have to, it seems like it's out further. So that's another reason why that truck couldn't pull in there. I watched him.
Okay,
And it wasn't just my mom's car. My mom is not up to the gate. She's
Right.
up to the end of her property where the street is, so she's still allowed to park there. That truck had to back up because all that garbage that was out to the right, he couldn't get past.
okay.
And then also, they couldn't get, had that about, some of the people come out and direct them through, because we were parked on both sides, and the trucks could barely made it through.
Yeah.
That's why it's an issue.
Yeah.
That's,
But,
so
okay.
so that's, I have no problem with that at all.
Is there any way that that little gray car could be back? Which,
It'll be backed up as long as we can move the other car.
Yeah.
We have.
that seems to be a problem too, yeah, you know, because, you know, I drove truck for a living. I know what it's like to try to swing it.
I understand.
And I understand your problem. I get it. But if that car is up far like it is in that picture, that's hard for the trucker.
And that wasn't the issue before until
Right.
they put the parking restriction.
Okay,
That's
okay.
all-
We
that's
have
all-
two of our cars now in front of our house,
Yes,
where
right.
before we only had
We
one.
know.
And her car was back now.
There's a ramp there, it's just a walk down.
Right.
So it's
So-
closer,
so-
if I'm
so-
going back further, it's actually closer.
So
to
if we
her house.
move the sign by that tree,
Correct.
that should solve the problem.
That'll give you parking and then she can
That'll
back
give
up a
us-
little bit further. Yep.
That's correct.
Why don't
Okay.
you just take the trees down?
What's
Well,
that?
the trees
Well, I
are
think
a
we're gonna do
problem.
Oh,
both.
okay.
The
Yeah.
trees
Well,
are
I mean, the
the
trees
problem.
are a problem because of the lanterns.
Right, right, but
But-
would
but-
that help even more if they took
No.
some of the trees?
No.
out?
Because that's
Oh,
getting.
But you still have to have a place to swing. You have to be
Okay,
able to
I
swing
get you,
out.
okay.
Now, if that is in that corner, because of how the road is in disrepair, a lot of water ponds there. So when we're parking there, it's gonna be, it's, because there's been tons of times I didn't park in that corner because there was heavy rain, mud, stuff like that. So that area back there, it's gonna need some kind of fill put in of some sort. for the park, because it's gonna have all kinds of water come up. I wish it was a day that, I mean, it was raining the day that you guys came out, and not long enough to actually show you that there's usually tons of water. You can see the water
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Yeah, but it's a lot worse.
Well, that was the day I met with the yard man and
Yes.
it was raining that day.
It's raining that day, yeah. So, yeah, so that's the only, I mean, we have no problem with that at all, as long as we can do something about the water pond in there.
I wonder if that's something that we could get DPW to do with the cog equipment.
The problem, I think, with the cog equipment is that you need so many people to work with it.
Yeah, yeah.
And they just don't have the manpower.
No.
You know, I mean, that was brought up before, remember, Mayor? That was,
I know.
we just don't have the manpower to do
Right.
that.
I mean, but this is a
I would think,
smaller job
I
that they
would
might be
think
able
that-
to.
if nothing else, we'd get maybe a couple dump trucks of
To be
2B
limestone.
limestone or something. They have the backhoe, maybe they can just go in there and, drop that and flatten it a little.
And Ray, real quick, about right where the grass is, what if we dug like a trench, then filled it with the limestone along with
Yeah,
everything
it's
else?
Like a French
So the
drain
water
pipe.
is going
Yeah.
to, downhill and into in between the tracks.
Like
and
a French
everything.
drain.
Yeah, because that's all
Help
gravel there
alleviate that.
anyway.
Yeah.
That's a great point.
It would put a little
Catch
little
it,
drain
catch
there.
it coming off.
And
the road
obviously,
before
the
it gets
street
into
needs
that.
paved
Right, right.
sometime in the near future,
Yes.
whenever
It just
we.
might take some time. We're trying to work with you on this, and we understand it's an issue for you folks, and it's an issue for Avalotis. We're just trying to come up with an amicable solution
Oh, absolutely.
to try to,
Well, why don't you start with moving the sign? This way, nobody calls the police.
do we
Yeah, there's a
need a
car there.
motion or anything to move that sign? I wouldn't
I don't
think.
think so.
I think we just need to tell
DPW.
DPW, that's the will of council,
Move it by the.
because we're not getting rid of it. We're just moving it
Right,
20 feet.
that would allow us to park over there.
And then move her car
Right.
back.
Right, this way,
That would-
nobody
that would
calls the
help
police and
everyone's
says there's a car parked
situation.
there. It says
Yep.
no parking.
Correct.
Yes.
But,
Right.
wasn't there an ordinance?
There was, but it didn't state,
I don't know if it
It
stated
just-
exactly how many feet or anything.
it didn't state specifics. It just, because I read the ordinance, and I thought it was gonna be no parking on the whole side of that street from Grant, I believe it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Grant all the way to the gate. And then when we met with them, I was surprised to see it was only
The 183
a
feet.
third of the street.
I think it said 183 feet on one of the agendas, the original agenda that I didn't see.
But I don't think I don't think a footage was actually on the ordinance. I just think we voted to.
I'll try to get a hold of AJ, or I'll send him an email or something, or, until we get our borough manager in place to make these calls, I don't want to overstep boundaries with getting a hold of him,
I'm leaving.
because, what's that?
I said I'm leaving.
Another job.
And
But I can email AJ and explain what we want to get done.
if he wants me to meet them, so to show him,
Yeah.
where we want it to go.
AJ's usually good with that. So.
I mean, I'm fine with that.
Okay, I'll get a hold of AJ hopefully tomorrow and, if everybody's okay with that. And at least get the signs moved and,
Just the one sign.
the
Yeah,
sign
one sign,
moved.
yeah.
Brad, if you want, I have white marking paint for grass. I could, we just put a dot where they need. That way you don't have to.
Put an
move
X. Okay.
them. That's what I did with other stuff that I've
Yeah.
had them install. I just been like, hey, I put a white dot where I need you to put this pole and
Okay.
they do it.
I'll let you know when I get a hold of AJ
Okay.
and then we'll go from there.
Stephanie, you didn't read that real fine print at the bottom when you signed on.
I just, every time,
It's,
the manager.
it's there.
I don't
I
even
know,
know
it's
why, I don't know why she keeps bringing her contract out.
Yeah.
It's not on my
She's looking at it. Where's that at? Where's that? I know it's not in there.
I'm wishing I brought a highlighter right now so I can highlight half of this stuff.
There's one in the office if you want it.
I'm good.
Okay, so are we all okay with this? We can
Yeah,
move on from this?
Yeah.
All right,
I just want to add a note. I'm gonna make a note to also carry it to the business meeting, just in case we need to modify the ordinance. Craig will be there.
Yes,
solicitor,
yes.
Okay.
Just to make sure we cover everything from the.
Awesome.
perspective, but-
The verbiage has to
In
be
case we
correct.
have to ratify a vote, if you said you guys should have voted on that,
okay,
we could ratify.
So we'll cover our bases.
very good, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, move on. Number
I'll-
10,
I'll keep it
upkeep
short.
and maintenance trees and sidewalks on East Railroad, Mrs. Wharf.
Yeah, I'll keep it short. Okay, I called Laura. This is such an eyesore for me. When you're going down, we've done so many beautiful things with revitalization, the years that our group put new sidewalks in, new lights, new receptacles, the pavilion. And then you go past Ian Miller, and then you start hitting East Railroad Avenue. There's trees that have just been cut off the top. A sidewalk that, you know, if you're walking, it's a mess. We have lots that, you know, high grass and they're vacant lots, which I can't understand why. We had done all this work, even when Taylor was here, the intern. We generated a list of vacant properties that were up for, you know, for sale that you could have purchased through the recovery program. I don't know where that list is, number one. Number two, I called Laura, she's on the Shade Tree Commission now. And she said, oh, we don't touch mature trees. Yeah, I think you could, because those have been butchered. I'm not saying just replace or cut them down. I'm saying to cut them down and replace them with suitable trees down that corridor. There are a bazillion cars that go down there every day, and it's such an eyesore. My skin crawls every time I pass. You've got, like I said, the sidewalk, you've got high grass, you've got the empty lots, you've got some rental properties that are not being, you know, by code, they're not going, they haven't been inspected.
Well, this all goes back to the coding.
Yeah, exactly, back to the code, but the thing is, the shade tree people. And you even got that, don't you have one of those apps that they can check the sidewalks?
Yes.
You know, that would be one main, the East Railroad Avenue has to be checked out, dealt with, done something. I
Correct.
mean, as soon as possible, because it's an eyesore.
It's
My
an
It
area-
was
question
brought up
is-
in our active transportation plan many times. That is-
Yeah.
I was gonna say that it's an area we're trying to revitalize and it's a main thoroughfare for seniors. for
Oh,
both
I know,
the
I know, but
residents.
One
the
of my
thing is,
questions is, whose trees are they? Are they the boroughs or they?
oh,
That's another question.
yeah, well, the thing is, I think the borough planted them.
Them big ones?
Yeah, there's 13 of them.
Which ones you talking?
The ones on East Railroad Avenue.
From James to Grant or
From,
Yes,
from the
yes.
music store all the way down.
down to Martini's? to
Yeah,
Grant Street?
Martinis, yes.
Those are big trees. They've been there for years.
Oh, yeah, they've been there since the eighties.
I'm getting it.
Oh, they've been there
I'm
longer
getting
than
it.
that.
I only came here in the eighties, so.
But
can't
because of
verify
those
before
trees,
that.
the sidewalks are
I
up.
understand that.
Yeah,
But
I'm not saying
but-
just cut them down and end it. Plant
they're
suitable
the property
trees.
owners because.
That's what I thought.
At the last meeting, someone brought up who's responsible between the
Craig,
sidewalk and the
solicitor
street,
said,
and the solicitor said it's the property owner.
I know,
Borough
I get
has a
it.
right
Yeah.
of way only.
Yeah, but if we would design some kind of a project, get a grant or whatever.
Mhm.
You have that program that you got about the sidewalks and I'm sure Laura gets free trees.
Yes.
I'm sure somewhere and somehow that we can address that because it's an
cutting them
eyesore.
trees down is very expensive though. I'll say that. for the borough, or for anybody.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah,
just
yeah.
have a tree come
Dead,
down,
like someone
real
had the
expensive.
top chopped off.
Oh, my gosh, you have to, yeah,
So,
you have to see it to believe it. But the thing is, it needs to be addressed.
so we did list trees as a priority also under recreation to perhaps cover this area. with
Something,
shade
yeah.
tree
Yeah.
Laura's totally against cutting those. I mentioned it to her. and She didn't want anything to do with it. She goes, we don't touch mature trees. I think you need to revisit that.
Well, but again, that might be, so the borough takes the tree down, now it's an empty spot, then they can touch because it's empty.
Yeah, but the thing is, we get free trees all the time.
Right, no, that's what I
And we
mean,
can
but,
replace them,
but
yeah.
the borough takes the tree down, then they can put the tree
Right,
in
right,
its
right,
place.
right, right. Something needs to be addressed there.
And like the trees they just put in this weekend,
Yeah,
they're all low growing trees, so they won't.
exactly.
And they did
Huge.
take out a couple trees
Uh-huh.
on West Railroad.
Well, we're
When
talking
they put the
east.
new trees
Yeah,
this
east,
past weekend on
Right.
West Railroad,
right.
when they were prepping the ground, they removed, I think, 3 older trees. I mean,
Okay,
they were mature, but they were trees that only grow to be 10, 20 feet high.
Right,
That they were
Which is
diseased
what-
or rotten,
Right.
or, and the
Right.
shade tree.
which is what they
Commission,
planted
Grow
this
Pittsburgh, I
this
think it
weekend,
was.
because, no, it wasn't Pro
Or-
Pittsburgh, it was
It's,
Tree
Tree
Vitalized.
Tree
Three-
Vitalized,
yeah,
I'm sorry.
that's what,
I
that's
get
who
them
we dealt
confused.
with. when we
Tree
did-
Vitalized did remove a couple of the old
Yeah.
trees.
Oh,
I
they're
saw them.
very good about everything.
Certainly if they're dead or diseased.
Yeah, yeah, Tree Pittsburgh, yeah, they're, you know what, Stephanie, once you get settled and that stuff, you have to find that list, because I know I gave a list of 96 properties of empty lots. And I gave it to the intern, and she composed a whole list, and we were supposed to put it on the website, so other people, there's a lot of people that are interested in putting up those, how, different like modular
Tiny
houses.
houses.
You know
Yeah.
what, Parks and Rec did that 4 years ago also. We had a little side thing where we all went out and wrote down all the vacant properties or abandoned houses.
Oh, I took pictures,
and
yeah, I had,
Submitted them to the code enforcer at the time,
yeah.
and
Was
a
there,
year later, nobody could find it.
Well, let's
Was
hope
there-
that Stephanie can find it, and then we'll put it on the website.
is there any way you could get, the board or the office can get in touch with the university where not Stephanie.
Taylor,
Taylor, was, and get her phone number and ask her to give us a call and say, hey, you were working on this. What did you do with the
well,
material?
Christine would
I was
know.
gonna say, I'll bet you Teresa has her phone number.
I bet you either that or Teresa can get a hold of Christine and connect with Stephanie, because we did a
I mean,
lot
make a
of
phone
work.
I mean, it shouldn't be hard to get hold of Christine. You just call Sharpsburg's office.
I would die if we got
Business
rid of that.
hours.
We're asking for.
It was a
copies
lot of
sidewalk
work.
inventory, because I think Matt has that.
No, I think she's talking about the.
The vacant lot.
The vacant
inventory.
lot.
Oh, well, the other thing about that is it's gonna change all the time, because someone might have started. paying
Yeah, but
taxes
Taylor
on the
Pop-
third year.
Just did
This summer.
with all the blighted properties.
Oh, the most up to date.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
she did
this
this
was
one a month
current, this
ago,
is
or
current,
2
and I'll
months
tell
ago.
you, a
With
lot
all
of,
the blighted and vacant lot
and the
that would be
majority owed
helpful.
taxes. I had copies of everything, picture.
yeah,
It's
she was
gotta be
very
around
thorough.
somewhere.
She
It's
was
just-
very thorough.
Okay,
Yeah, she's
good.
somewhere.
There's probably
Well,
a
let's
whole,
look into that later. I don't want to dwell.
there's probably her whole
Somewhere
report in
around
there somewhere,
That's amazing.
Okay.
but she would
You
have.
can
to
find
have
a whole
it
bunch of
for-
stuff.
I
It's
know.
really
But she
impressive.
wanted people
I
recommending
know.
for-
For-
Her
Don't turn
resume.
it back.
Right.
Okay, we good with that
Yeah.
on the trees? Okay, number 11, pothole lid at parking lot on East Railroad by the Hula Bar. Very short and sweet. We have the parking lot up here by the Hula Bar.
Mhm.
There's a crock in there they're called Crocs from the Oakmont Water Authority. The lid is broke. So I had AJ put cone over it like there's been,
Right,
because if somebody walks in it, they're gonna break their ankle or something. Matt has calls into Oakmont Water to try to get that fixed. Problem is, they can't find any of this supposedly they can't find any of this particular lid. But Matt's working on it.
okay,
So that's where that stands there.
Okay.
okay.
The next thing,
That was a quick one.
yeah,
Go ahead.
the
Electric.
next thing
Next.
is the electrical
Yeah.
light fixture on a Verona welcome sign coming from the city of Pittsburgh. AJ went down and found that there was electric there.
Oh, good.
Now, I don't know if he checked light bulbs or whatever, but there is electric there.
Mhm.
So if we need to put a light up, That was the question, is there electric there?
Yeah. that-
And
The old side was
They're all-
lit.
Yeah, the old
where
side
there
was
always
lit.
was. When we
Yeah.
redid
There
that.
was a question last month is the electric out or broke or
But
or
it's
what?
there. We
It's
just-
there. We
there, but
just
we
need
don't
to
know what
figure out if we
happened,
wanna
what
put a
what
light
the light
up
fixture
Get 'em
itself
have
was there.
AJ put a light up or
Or if
what?
there's a light already there and it just needs a change bulb.
Yeah, because we had one on the ground
Yeah, it
Facing
was
the
a
light.
floodlight.
facing the
Right,
sun.
so who
Right.
knows if that got, I mean, I know there's electric there, so
I mean, I would think at this stage of the game, we should probably look into putting an LED light in there.
Almost
Oh,
definitely.
yeah.
Yeah.
definitely
Even
save
if there
on
is a
power.
light fixture there, probably within a
Upgrading it.
year, you'd save an electric, but it costs you for the fixture.
Yeah,
well, if you remember last month, we had a bid,
Yeah.
one bid on that.
Right. I have it.
So I kind of thought that was a little high that
Yeah.
our DPW could put one up a heck of a
Oh,
site
for
cheaper.
half-
Oh,
yeah,
right.
half
Oh,
the
you can
price.
get instant electric. There's a bazillion
Yeah,
electricians.
But that was something, whatever.
Yeah.
So, okay, I'll see if AJ can figure something out there or whatever,
Okay.
or our manager can. Wink, wink.
Stop.
Next page. The next thing I have is a river, the Railroad Park Pavilion, the lettering. Apparently on the lettering, it's Verona and you can't see it. So I got an email, and I don't know if everybody did from, I believe it was Kathy Maddox,
And you-
stating that Luke could get some type of stuff, a backing to highlight the Verona.
A piece of plastic.
Something he can
I
get.
think he said it was-
but
It would be painted metal, I think, or painted
He can get
plastic.
something
either
from
one.
where he works.
To match the seat, the
And-
roof there.
But
yes.
DPW would have to install it.
Right.
So are we in favor of this? What,
I am.
Oh, I think it'll be nice. It'll be
Okay.
nice, yeah.
Like I said, it'll also serve two
now the next
purposes.
question would be, what color would we like, I guess?
I think he said he would paint it to match the
The
existing
roof of the,
structure.
The roof? Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Whatever, if the Verona is the same color as the roof.
no, Verona's black.
Verona's black.
Okay, so yeah, it would be the roof.
Because you had brought up
You
about
couldn't-
trying to fill the whole thing in, and he said he doesn't think you could because that's probably a structural
Yeah,
thing for
it
wind.
would probably catch a lot of wind then.
So
Keep
we're
it from
okay with
being a
doing that? We
parachute.
don't need a motion for that, I
No,
don't think.
uh-uh.
And DPW would be able to install that at their
Yeah. It
convenience.
was already discussed too last meeting. so.
Yeah, Because he said that the materials itself would be free.
Mhm.
Which is great.
Awesome. Thank you, Luke.
It'd be lovely to have that too before the hometown. hall.
Yeah, well, it depends on when he can do it when,
Sure, sure.
when DPW can get it up. Because they're gonna be coming into their busy season with
Yeah.
with
No.
finishing up the fall stuff and getting ready for, they're doing their leaves and stuff. The next thing is Riverbank Park, new pickleball sign and scheduling courts. Mr. Floda.
Yes, I gave everybody paper. It was sitting on top of the packet. These are the new signs that I believe Jeff Pepper is proposing. I have some concern about the sign. Yeah, this is what he sent me. I can read it out loud. It says, courts 1 and 2 are always, this is under guidelines. Courts 1 and 2 are always available for open play except during a previously scheduled special event. Courts 3 and 4 can be reserved online for 2 hours. Some restrictions apply. Go to www.tinyurl.com/Verona Pickleball to reserve a court. If a court is not reserved, then it is available for open play. I have a couple concerns about this because this gives the impression that we are letting someone sublet our park. And to reserve any park in Verona, you have to come to the borough office and fill out a park reservation permit form that I worked tirelessly on the whole first half of this year. And this seems like this is just circumventing all of that. And I'm very cautious to get in the habit of doing that, of letting, like, where does it stop? Are we gonna let RAA start renting out the baseball fields and then we don't know who they're renting it to, when they're renting them? This is still borough property. So I have an issue with that being on the sign.
Control should not go to one entity.
Correct, it
Come
should still
through
be,
the borough.
Comes through the
should
borough.
be the borough manager.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is this saying that they're booking large blocks of time
Well, I
and not
asked,
actually using it?
yeah, and I asked Teresa, like, where are the permits?
Yeah.
And she pulled out a piece of paper with a calendar on it. And it had blocks that were different colors. And I said, that's not our permit. She said, well, that's what they gave us. And I'm like, well, they have to fill out a permit like everybody else, like I do, like you do, like RAA does. You can't have special circumstances for certain groups.
Can you
I think this
block
should be just
time?
first come, first served basis.
Well, there's other stuff
You
on
should
here that,
be able to block
that,
what you're actually gonna do. In
Right.
other words, if they're
that
playing
Red brought up.
Thursday-
It says on the
Thursday,
bottom,
Saturday
these
night,
courts were
that's all you should
created by
block. You
volunteers
should
and are
block from 9 a.m.
maintained
10
by.
p.m. And you only use it for
contributors.
9, let other people
Hold on,
use it.
Red. This is what you brought up. These courts were created by volunteers and are maintained by contributions from players and members of the community. To contribute, send a donation via PayPal or Venmo to veronapickleball@gmail.com. But you can't do that.
No.
We're not
We don't
allowed
get
to
none of that, right?
solicit.
It's called a private entity.
Yeah,
Yes.
How many people from Verona actually play down there? Does anybody
I
know?
couldn't tell you.
Well, and another issue is on the new park policies that we just passed 3 months ago. One of the policies says all signs and wayfinding must be removed after you leave the park for your reserved time. This completely goes against that. This is signage and wayfinding that they're leaving up all year round,
24/7.
24/7. And I think it just gives the wrong impression of, like I said, it looks like Verona's subletting our parks out to a
Yeah.
private entity.
That's actually.
It's like it's their park and they're letting you use it.
Correct.
Well, if you all
Are
remember,
these the signs that are down there now?
I believe these are the signs that are down there now. He's just making them smaller.
I think we need to,
This is the
Address
new
it.
sign that is supposed to be smaller than the other one. But the other one has similar language on it, similar information. It says you could, to reserve, go to their website, like it's.
wonder if
I
the-
believe there was what is it, a GoFundMe? There was a GoFundMe link up there
Right.
originally, and it's just,
what if our rec board can come with our findings and contact Mr. Pepper and explain, has anybody explained anything to
have.
Mr.
we
Pepper?
have,
Oh, really?
this
back when
board is,
Janet
in-
was on the board.
this board is in control. Don't let a private entity tell you what to do.
Just the wording needs, I don't have a problem with put sign up. I have a problem with what the sign says.
Do they have like, is that a rotary sign? I can't, it's so.
It's a Rotary, it's Pisa, it's.
you know,
looks
Verona
like-
Borough.
Are they donating money? Does anybody know, like Rotary?
They all donated
Yes.
money.
They
But
all
where's the
donated
money going?
It went to
To do
Was it
Jeff
Rotary
it.
with
Pepper
a
to
sign?
actually paint the courts and put up the
But
nets.
it's not up to him to paint the courts
Well,
and
that was,
without coming to the borough.
well, they
They
did,
did.
but it was in 2019. And then council approved it. And I believe DPW oversaw the project. They were down there with them. But, I mean, that was fine. It was approved by council. I just don't want
I
this
hate
to
to,
be approved, and that it's a slippery slope. Like, once we start
Right.
going down that path, we gotta
I
kind of,
think we need to get rid of that bottom part, and we
Sure.
need to, have something just sign, sign as you go. Just like you go somewhere and you play pool, you put your quarter up, you're the next one to play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and I mean, they could still come and fill out a permit and block off some time for them, and that's fine. But once you start having signups at the park, that's like
Right.
having a sign at the backstop of Cribs, like, hey, RAA, to use this baseball field, go to RAA.com. Like,
Yeah.
we wouldn't
I'm
let
not in
that
favor of
happen.
the GoFundMe or the pen pal.
Exactly.
Well, I think that second paragraph needs to go too.
Yes,
where it says you have to contact them to use the courts.
Right, yeah, no, I agree.
To
Courts three,
reserve the courts, you go to Verona.
courts 3 and 4, yeah.
.org.
I'm okay with the first paragraph and the third and fourth paragraph.
Yes,
Why don't you just get them in here? and have a meeting, contact
I
them.
think that's what you need to do.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
there's
we-
no
we-
hard
Yeah.
feelings. Sit down and discuss.
Absolutely.
Because I think it's wonderful that we have that.
I do too,
It brings
absolutely.
a lot of people into Verona.
do you want the rec board to do that? Because the rec board is actually meeting,
Sure, why not?
See if the record, can we get a hold of Mr. Pepper?
president's
meet with
there,
them.
so.
Yeah.
You have a problem setting up a meeting with Jeff Pepper, have him come to the, when's your rec board meeting? So send him an email, see if he can show up next Tuesday to the meeting and we'll. Break that news down.
No, I
It's on
agree.
this list.
We can all
This
go.
board needs to take control.
Yeah, I mean, I hope the sign isn't already made.
That's his
If it
problem.
is, then,
That's his
That's
It's
it.
his problem.
yeah, I
You
know.
can't do something.
We
so
have,
that's
we have talked about this with him before. But you know, some people get excited and they want progress ahead of anything else. They skip over the right way to do it, so. Okay, we will, that's all I have on that.
Okay,
That, and I had mentioned about the scheduling. I talked to Teresa. She thought it was weird that they just handed handed Christine a calendar. And then Christine had to all of a sudden do all that work. And you know, it should all be uniform. It should be everybody, every permit should look the same. It makes her job easier. It makes the administrative office job easier when all the forms look the same. Instead of, you know, you can imagine if people are bringing napkins with crayon in it, like, hey, there's my permit. Like,
yeah, right.
you have to do, you can't file your
Filed-
taxes
filed
on
right, right.
on a legal
One thing
pad.
if you didn't have the
You
form.
have to-
Right.
you have to use the proper forms.
Yeah.
So that's all I have.
Thanks, Mr.
Is that
Fota.
7 o'clock?
The next thing is property taxes for seniors. This has been brought up from a few people in the audience about property tax. And our new manager already did some work on the property tax rent program. So maybe she can speak on what her findings are, if she doesn't mind.
The state of Pennsylvania offers widowers 50 and over and seniors, I think it's 65 and over, you can get a rent or a property tax rebate if you fit into an income guidelines. The money is then sent back. You take then the money is yours. You can either do it, if you rent, you can get a rent rebate. If you have property taxes, you can get a property tax rebate. In fact, this year, and maybe, I'm not sure, so don't quote me on this. This year, there's actual bonus money out there that everybody who either got a property tax rebate or a rent rebate should actually be getting back more money from the state of Pennsylvania.
No, the state, okay.
Yeah, it's all run, that's all lottery dollars. Whenever you talk about that kind of stuff, the state's not doing that. They're using lottery
Right.
dollars.
We need to take advantage of it.
Yeah.
Well, the people can take
There's the
it,
Homestead Act,
That's
but
what I
it's
mean.
the, and
Advertise.
but you have to show your income.
Right.
yes,
Yeah.
but they only, now remember, they only count half of your social security.
Mhm.
It's a lot, I mean, it's income required, there's no doubt about it,
Right.
but I'm sure a lot of seniors would qualify. The senior center does it, and I am sure we could probably get somebody to come in here and do it at the municipal.
You might even
building
be
for
able to get
people.
someone from like the state rep's office. to come
State
in.
reps, we have a
Get
person
set
who, the center has a person that does them for us, yeah. I mean, once you know, I mean, this year it might have to be somebody else, because right now our state rep, we don't
We don't have one.
You know,
know what that's gonna look like yet.
We won't know for a
we
while.
will when the election happens. so-
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
We'll
So-
have a better idea.
But I did, there is a copy of all of that with Ray. So if you
Yeah, I
guys
have a
wanna check it
copy
out.
here, so when we get to that point,
Yeah,
Okay.
or whatever, so it's been acted on a little bit.
Stephanie, is this different from the tax rebate you get when you do income tax?
this is property and rent rebate
This is separate from that other rebate.
from taxes, from income
You know, when
taxes.
you're doing income tax, they'll.
That's not a rebate, that's a refund.
Oh.
Yeah, tax refund. You're talking about when you do your income
Yeah, when you
taxes,
do your
that's a
income tax.
refund. This is a rebate.
I think she's talking about the homestead.
Homestead
Yeah.
is part of that.
Yeah. but I
That's
think
all
what she
included.
was
Yeah,
talking about.
yeah, that's all included.
Oh, okay.
But they take out, it's half your social security. So they take quite a bit of it away.
Well, with the income tax, you have to bring your paid tax receipts in.
Right, that's homestead, but this
Homestead.
is state.
Oh, two separate
Well,
entities,
kind of,
kind of.
it's one big.
It's all
app-
state, but it's a
It's
different
all
category.
big, one big application. Things just get switched a little bit on how they come out depending on if it's property or rent.
Okay, so if they do the one with the homestead, they can't do this one.
It's all gonna be the same piece of paper that Ray has right here, right there.
Oh,
And it's a little, this one, it's the income level is 30, for a couple is 35,000 and below. So it's a little bit different.
the reason I ask, I've had people ask me about it and I just needed.
Yeah,
clarity.
if you look, you can look that up. It's looked up the Homestead Act. It'll come up with the state of Pennsylvania and all that paperwork will come up. on it.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah, but that is all, if I'm, no, don't quote me. I know the rent rebates and stuff are all done through lottery dollars.
Right. right.
And I think the homestead is all done through lottery dollars.
Okay.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
The next is budget, and that would be Nancy Carpenter, but apparently she's on a plane.
She's not online yet.
She's not online, so Tricia's gonna speak for what she has to say.
Yeah, she mentioned last night, she just wanted to let everyone know that, since she's just recently taken on the chair of the finance committee, she's working hard to, start looking at her budget. And the committee will be holding its meeting, and, I mean, I can say this now, thank you. We will be holding that special budget meeting on Tuesday, November 22nd, here at council chambers at 7 PM. The advertising for that will be going out, will change in the November business meeting from the 8th to the 15th. So we'll have 3 meetings right in a row for your entertainment. But yes, I believe that was all she wanted to make sure everyone knew. And I did forget to mention earlier, if anyone can't hold their committee meetings or attend their committee meetings during the date and time originally scheduled, which is on the website, let us know because we will have to re-advertise that. We'll be changing, which hopefully it still works for everyone.
I
but
think personally, I think we should just leave it that way.
the time.
Yeah, at this point, we're already into November. We
As
want to
long as it
advertise
works.
and change at this point of
Yeah,
the
we're gonna
time.
change everything in January anyway, right?
No, it's fine. I just didn't want to force someone to want to meet.
No, I don't think, no, we don't reorganize till next year.
We can.
Well, I thought we were thinking about maybe doing it.
Oh, are we?
January because
Revisit in
of the-
January.
Oh, we were gonna revisit, okay.
Yeah, we don't have to, but we'll.
If everybody's content with this that way.
Yeah, right.
Okay. The next is Council Corner newsletter updates. Ms. Showalter again.
That's actually from Mr. Fleur.
Okay, Mr. Floda. Number 17.
Yes, me and Trish came up, actually it was Trish, but I agreed, this is a good idea. From all the feedback we've had at the last council meeting, maybe the one before that, maybe council can get together quarterly and it could be by committee, it could be as a group, but we should quarterly put something in the newsletter. Trish came up with the ingenious name of Council Corner, and it could be put in the newsletter to let everybody know what the committees are working on and what council is working on. So that way, it's just another avenue to help communicate. We had many people say, why don't you put stuff in the newsletter? And I know it's hard because it's quarterly and you have to submit your article for the newsletter 3 months before it comes out, it seems. It's only like a month before it comes out, but it might be beneficial for council to come up with an article at least, 4 times a year, just to keep everybody up to speed of what we do, and what we're doing, what we're thinking of doing, or what roads we might be paving, or the fact that, Wildwood's closed. Like, there might be buses going different areas. Hopefully, they're gonna go up center, but if you see one going up south, please report it to the police so the mayor could go yell at them. Like, just, it should help communicate things. It's another avenue of advertising what we're doing. So I mean, we're never gonna get it. I've done marketing and advertising my whole life, and you can spend $1 million on marketing and advertising, and 3 people will still come up and be like, I didn't hear anything about it. So,
It'll just be more planning on our part too,
yeah, but
A little bit
it'll
ahead.
at least be one more
avenue.
avenue and one more where we could say, hey, you know, we advertised in the Post Gazette. It's like, well, I don't read the Post Gazette. Well, we advertised it in the newsletter. You know, we advertised it on Facebook. Like, once we have 7 things, then it's not really our fault anymore.
Right. Yeah,
So
There has to be some responsibility on their part too.
Yes.
to go to
this is,
places.
I'm not gonna talk much about this. I'm gonna talk about it more, and it's on the agenda for our communication meeting tomorrow, and I will bring it back to the business meeting. And hopefully we'll have it fine tuned, like whether we want to do it as council as a whole, or if we want to do, you know, have it sectioned off as committees, like this is what this committee's working on, this is what this committee's working on. We're gonna discuss all that tomorrow, and then we'll bring it back and
Awesome.
see what it does. I know it's gonna be a lot more planning on our part, but I mean, we
You
can,
know, stuff too, you know.
yeah, I mean, it might be just some little stuff, like, you know, the fireman's convention's coming up. or-
And I think once we get into the habit of it, it won't be that much more work, because as you're looking at stuff, you say, oh, that can go in the
And you
corner.
already have a format, you already have a
Yeah.
format, so.
Right, right.
Just like making agendas, the first one is the hardest one to make, and then after you make one agenda, you just go and change the
Fill it
words
in,
for all the other
right.
ones, so. Okay, that's all I have on that.
Thanks, Vince. Anybody else have anything on that?
The only thing when we do this, I did have some comments. If we're gonna start enforcing the code enforcement of the sidewalks and things like that, that we're gonna start citing the
Becky
public.
wouldn't hurt.
I've had people request that we
Let
Put a
them
note.
know,
let them know ahead of time
Yeah.
that we're gonna start doing this.
Yeah.
So
hey, we're
that-
gonna start taking it for street sweeping again, the street sweeper's not broke anymore.
Yeah.
Like,
So that, you know, they have some warning, not a citation in their mailbox or something.
Yeah, that's not a good warning.
Yeah, it's not one year.
Yeah, I agree. That's a good.
All right, next we have is crossing guard application to show order again.
Oh, Mayor, I don't know if you want to take this, or even Mr. President, you have more
Okay.
information to share, but essentially, we noticed that there was an absence of one of our crossing guards one day. We don't know if this or PTO or whatever, but it got us thinking about what is the process, and independently, someone submitted a resume.
I know that you had said somebody had submitted, but I didn't know that there was no crossing guard. in this
Yeah,
area.
there-
I apologize, yeah, we discussed it last night. But yes, there was at least one day when there was no one on center and first.
See, the police officers, they're supposed to notify the office that, hey, I'm sick or I can't make it. And an officer's supposed to go up there and
They're supposed to notify which office they,
the police department,
police.
yeah.
okay. Well, I don't know if they did or whatever, but we thought maybe it wouldn't hurt to have a substitute available.
Oh, we're always looking for
Because what happens
substitutes.
if the cop has to go out on a call?
That's what my
And-
thing
and
was,
here
what
you
if they're
go.
pulling
We're
somebody
leaving the
over?
town stranded, or we're leaving a kid stranded in a corner, you know, so.
No,
if we get-
I
if we
agree,
get someone that
absolutely.
can be a substitute, and I think she works for the school district, the letter said, so she'd probably have her background checks and her, or acts that she needs.
She works at Vernon. actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
she,
She actually doesn't work for the district.
Right,
She works for the food service company, but she would still need to have her clearances
she
for
need
that
your
too.
clearances for that, because she's working in the school.
That would be from.
So I guess the question arises, is there any application, or does she just call, do what she did, or?
They come down and they put their name in, then we run the background check and then it come, and then I bring it to the board,
Okay.
to hire either, for everyday use or part-time, but we have no one right now for part-time.
Well, she's willing, right now, She went like a backup type thing.
Right, I have no problem with
Would
that.
you be able to get a hold of her?
Yeah, I can get a hold of
Okay,
it.
and set that up?
Yeah, well, actually, Trish and I talked and the chief's, he should be running a background check, just, doesn't cost us anything.
The chief is already doing it?
Yeah,
Okay,
I was hoping to have it today, but
okay. Cool.
Yeah.
We could still use the police as a fallback if the substitute.
well,
is
and that
available.
usually goes up there too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's been, I have had her up on
But
first.
what time's the net start? Here's the thing, that, they need somebody up there at like 6:55 or
Well,
something.
then that's when I would send an officer up there if it was a last minute, but if we know the night before, and that, and that has been up at Second and South since that cluster down on, that we knew nothing about,
Yeah.
that they were redoing that section of the street. I sent her up there every day, for the bus and to walk the kids. Because there was a lot of traffic.
Okay, so we're in the works already with having this girl come down and
Yes.
get her back. Okay, cool. Thank you. Anybody else have anything on that? Next thing is a vacancy board needs to be filled. Mr. Craig,
This is just the position that Nancy held that she had to vacate when she was appointed.
Right.
We've talked about it a couple times, but I think we need to actually post it
we
to
need
the
to-
public that looking for applicants
There's a
and then-
vacancy.
and then make a decision at the business meeting.
Yeah.
Post the vacancy on the vacancy board.
yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll put the call out on the website and social media.
Mhm.
Interested people should submit,
It would be interesting. I think you need to explain what it is.
Right, yeah.
A lot of people don't understand what the vacancy board
Right.
is.
Does this
It's
have to
not
be
getting
posted
you
in
on
the paper
council.
like everything else? Like, does that
Yeah.
make it posted in the post?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, I didn't know legally.
I don't know if legally you have to post it in the,
I don't think, I just,
I would think the website, the social media.
I don't think you even need to, because I think when we were talking with Craig last time, he was like, it's the will of council, you can appoint someone tonight.
That's right, he did say that.
So I don't think you need to advertise in the
I think
paper.
I'd put it on a website and our
Yeah.
board up at Cribs and,
Yeah, I mean, I think we should put it up just
Yeah,
so
and
we
then,
see who's interested.
and
not
like
actually
Rhoda said, I agree.
a
Post what
Full,
it,
full
what it's
ad type
about.
thing, but just a.
and we should make sure we're gonna put it on the agenda for the business meeting to actually select somebody.
Yeah, so
Maybe
have your
like going
applications
up to
in by,
Cruz, just say there's a vacancy
Have a
board for
deadline.
more information, stop down at the
November.
Burgo.
8th or
They
whatever.
have a deadline for that.
I'd say the 11th, because the 15th is our meeting.
Yeah.
I'd say the 11th.
Yes,
Does that sound good to everybody?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Then she'll take care of that board up there?
yeah, I'll put it on.
Okay, thank you. And we'll get a hold, I guess we'll get, who does the website? Oh, that's you.
well.
For now.
Stephanie.
Stephanie.
Isn't it WordPress?
What's that?
It's Word, I can get in the back end of WordPress, yeah.
Trisha's ghostwriter.
You got to explain to me what the vacancy board is, but
Okay.
I'll get it up there. on
It's
my
It's
end.
just-
one person who breaks the tie. If council ends up being tied.
Got it.
And the mayor doesn't want to break it, right? You get to break it first, right?
Yep.
And then if he doesn't want to break the tie, the person from the vacancy board breaks it.
They have to, so they have to be at every meeting.
If I'm not here. Yeah.
I'm sure there's different wording. We'll have to look the word.
Right.
Yeah.
You know.
yeah.
The next thing, I have a couple things that I added here, just an FYI. The water at Cribs is gonna be shut off in early November to winterize. That's as per AJ.
How about the water pipes here that they always
Um,
neglect to do?
Can I make a request to turn it off at the end of November? Like we did last year?
Yeah.
It would be weather depending.
I mean,
He
that's,
said in early November.
for the last, I think, 3 years, they turned it off after Thanksgiving.
Well, we're gonna start getting some cool
That's
days.
the thing I'm
Yeah, but
concerned
That-
about.
That's, yeah, that's
Yeah,
always.
but over
I
here.
know, but all the pipes up there are now, since the building's new, they installed those new,
Text.
the PEX pipes, and those
Okay,
are
good.
freeze resistant.
That's good.
They
But how-
won't burst.
Okay, but how about here? It's every year. and
Well,
every
here,
year.
yeah,
You need
we
to
can turn
turn it
that because
off.
those are copper pipes.
Right.
But the
So
ones in the Cribs building, they're all the red and blue pipes. and those are burst resistant.
So good, good.
Those ones.
I'm just saying that because
Take 'em
there's
out.
still events up at Cribs until the end of November.
If we can do that, I don't have a problem with it. I just got this letter from Teresa that that's what AJ.
Yeah, no, I mean, if we, I think last year, or the year before, we just asked them to call Oakmont Water and have them hold off until after Thanksgiving.
The only other thing I have is 412 Penn, where the house fire was. We all got the email. I just want to announce it. That they are starting a demo finally tomorrow. So the demo is going to be started on that tomorrow.
You know what? They're very thankful. They called me today because they've been waiting since June.
I know.
So
Yeah, I know. I've seen Cindy a lot and every time she sees me, and I tell her, we're just waiting for the owner. And then there was a problem with the transfer of the title and that whole 9 yards. Because she got money tied up in that escrow account too,
Yeah.
so.
well, they're concerned because they need the roof and the windows in. She said and it's causing a lot of interior damage.
Right. So, okay.
Announcements.
Anything else under discussion items? Yeah, information and announcements. Mr. Recupero, number one.
Yes, October 27th, it's coming Thursday over here in the field, in the park here. The farmer's market, they're gonna have Stephanie, the one that runs the farmer's market, trunk or treat. And the police car will, Annette has decorated the police car in the back like she did last year, and the police department will be handing out candy along with Annette. Then on the 29th, the chamber is, they have their Halloween parade. It's starting at 11 o'clock, and once again, Annette will be here, and an officer in the police car. It will be all decked out in the back for the kids to see. And Annette has done a fantastic job in decorating the back of the car. And from my understanding, they were down at the shopping center this evening, handing out candy along with Giant Eagle and some of the other businesses down there. And on October 31st, which is Tuesday, I believe. Monday is Halloween. And along with the Verona Police Department and the Verona Fire Department, they will be out for public safety from 6 to 8 o'clock, driving around, so everybody has an enjoyable Halloween. And basically, that's an update that I have on the Halloween so far. 3 events coming up.
Thank you. Does anybody have anything for the mayor on that? Number 2, litter cleanup on from October 21st to the 30th. As we all know, the litter getter people from Verona go out, they do their thing and they never get recognition. I just want to thank the Luke and Kathy Maddox and their litter getters. I don't know who all you are, so I don't want to miss a name. So whoever you all are, thank you very much. It does make the town look more presentable and beautiful. Thank you for your
Absolutely.
efforts.
Thank you.
Pick up garbage all the time.
Well, I know, I was
Denise,
just gonna
yeah.
say, I know you and Denise are always picking.
Yeah, Rhoda and her sister are always
Always
walking
picking
around.
up
picking up
garbage.
something. Thank you for that, Rhoda and Denise.
You're welcome.
Anything else on that? Okay, number 3, community garden dedication, the show
I'm actually gonna turn this, Mr. Greg.
off. Greg?
Okay, we're gonna have the dedication with the Monroe family. It'll be the first Saturday in November. That'll be Saturday, November 5th. We're gonna have the new sign up and that there, and then afterwards, we're gonna have a work day to do the final cleanup for the fall of the garden too. So
What time?
Very nice.
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock Saturday the 5th.
Thank you.
Anyone welcome to come. And we'd really appreciate if you could come and stay afterwards to help do a cleanup. Many hands make the work go fast.
Question, did you add the word family on there?
Yes.
Monroe family.
Yep.
Perfect, because they asked me if that could please be put on.
Yep.
And that was a very small request. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Next thing is Riverbank Garden groundbreaking for the spring planting. Ms. Showalter, are you gonna give us this? too?
So we received an email regarding the Riverbank Park Garden. And actually, it would be best to speak to this one. since we're present.
Her voice is failing her. now.
Also, I know,
I can tell.
Isn't that Kimberly?
Yes,
Red was there though.
yeah, I was
Yeah.
there helping her.
Mhm.
We did put down the cardboard to start the lasagna planting, and Mayor brought us a load of mulch spread on top of it. As Kim mentioned in her email, I guess it was a little, we ended up making it a little bit bigger than was originally planned. We went around the tree and around the trash and all that, and we're talking about getting some bricks from the community garden, which are the bricks from First Street, and making paths to there's a doggy bag bin there and a trash can that we're gonna make paths in the mulch so that people aren't gonna walk in the
In a moment.
mulch and the mud to get to these places.
Let me know when you're ready for the dirt too.
Yep. That'll
Um,
probably be in the spring.
And my son did donate all that
Right.
stuff.
Yes. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you to Recupera Landscaping.
The only concern I have is talking to DPW, because when we installed the doggy waste bins,
Mhm.
they didn't want it anywhere near the garbage can because they said that where the garbage can is,
Mhm.
that's, they pull the truck up next to it,
Mhm.
and that garbage can is really heavy, and they move it sometimes.
Okay.
So if it's in the mulch or in the garden, it might get moved and dragged. And if you have an edge or something, that edge might get damaged, and the DPW might not be too happy that they have to take extra care to lift it over.
I think the plan is, like, we just mulched it so it wouldn't be a trim area.
Yeah.
I don't think that will be a concern at all. And like I said, there will be bricks put down so that, like, it won't be mud or mulch that they're working in.
My concern is just making sure that the DPW is okay with,
Yeah.
with the area.
Yeah.
That's why we didn't want to put it around the trees or anything like that, because that's where they weed eat, and we had some pushback from them
Well,
last time.
yeah, and that's, our thought was they wouldn't even have to weed whack around there because it's mulch.
Yeah,
now.
as long as somebody explains that to them and
Yep.
and tells them the pros, hopefully
Right.
they'll be okay with it. But sometimes they have other stuff going on that we don't see,
Okay,
and
I mean, I
they
can check
might
with
say
them.
this might screw everything up. So as long as it's okay by DPW, that's my only concern.
Okay,
I think it'll look great. I like that you made it bigger. I'm just worried about DPW.
that's fine. I mean, if you want, since you have the connection with HA more than me, if you want to check with him, and
I'll
if there's
talk to him.
anything that he wants adjusted, I mean, like, we can make the brick path as big as they want it.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, we have plenty of bricks, so.
So one of the things we have been trying to do over the past year is streamline communication through the borough manager.
Right.
Which in the absence of President Sessions has been handling communications with our engineer, solicitor, and DPW. So either you guys can tag team.
That's fine. I mean, if the
Ray can do
president wants to-
it. Ray can do it.
Okay.
Or,
We'll
I mean,
tag
it's
team.
not something that has to be done now. It can wait until after Stephanie starts to.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure they've seen it. It's been
Yeah.
down there for like 3 weeks. So
Yeah.
I'm sure they've seen it. Just ask them and make sure before we actually plant flowers
Yeah.
there, if it's gonna interfere with the garbage
And-
can or the weeding.
And Kim did mention in her email, if we need to adjust it, we can, it's
Right.
easy to do that too, so.
I just want to make sure it's okay before we plant.
Right.
You
And
know,
that-
'cause
the
then you
plant-
can't take that back once we haul bricks down there and stuff like
The
that.
planting won't be until the spring.
We have time.
Very good, thank you. Anybody else?
Just thank you to all the volunteers.
Yes,
Yes,
thank you to all
thank
the
you.
volunteers that dug that up and spent their day down there. Next thing is a leaf vac. That's gonna start up the last week of October, which is coming up next week, so. AJ and the boys will be going around sucking up the leaves and just rake them out to the curb like you always do, and they'll clean them up. I don't know how long they're gonna go. until the leaves are gone or until the snow starts flying, because I know have to make their trucks in, ready for snow, so. The leaf vacuuming is gonna happen starting the last week of October. Along with that, I'm gonna go into number 6, a salt pile update, the salt area. I talked to AJ today, and they're done with the foundation and the base. They're waiting the first week of November. They're supposed to come in and do the canopy. And then he'll order salt. He didn't order salt yet. So I asked him if there was any salt left from our allotment up at Oakmont, and he said, no, we used it all, or whatever happened there.
Is this something that like he should call and schedule a salt delivery?
I don't know.
We buy into it. We buy.
No,
let's
no,
say-
no, what I mean is just so like having a, like, if this is supposed to be done the first week in November, call the
Well-
company and have the salt
Yeah, that
delivered the
he
second
will.
week, as opposed, like, call now and say, we want it scheduled for.
I
this
know the
time."
beginning of the year, you never have trouble getting salt.
Okay,
I
You
mean,
know, that should have
Right.
already been ordered,
what's that?
the salt.
The salt, we have a contract with through the COG, through the
I was gonna say. that
SO
It's
should-
ordered,
COG,
it's
the
just a delivery
Southern,
truck.
whatever
Oh,
one that
okay.
is. Yeah, so we already have our contract and our bid and the pricing and
Right,
everything.
right, right,
It's just a matter of releasing it and them delivering it.
Exactly.
Right, yeah, right. So usually, like I said, from my experience of 33 years on the pike, when they're in the spring, they're looking to run these trucks.
Right,
So,
right.
and they have stockpiles of it. Now, when you get into the mid-February, then you better plan
Because
ahead.
they
a
don't
little
want it
more.
left over for
But
some.
they should have no problem getting salt.
Okay.
So that's what he said.
It's the truck driver's problem.
Right. Anybody else have anything on the salt pile? The next thing I have is I just wanted to update everybody on 628 Center. As through the solicitor, we released $11,000 from the fire escrow account to Debbie Caruso, who owns it. And there's still some money left in there. I'm not exactly sure how much in the account, but for the final inspection, she needed that money to get the final jobs done. So we did release that money. And the last here is newsletter, Trimбoro Ministry and Chamber of Commerce Historical Society, Mrs. Provenza.
Thank you, Mr. President, and good evening, everyone. Newsletter, we are exactly 1 week away from the due date. So I'm asking, please, if you can get your ads in, get your articles in, we need them no later than next Tuesday, November 1st. And this is supposed to be a very busy time of year, so please get them in as soon as you can. Even before that would be a really big help. Chamber of Commerce, we've already discussed, Dave's already brought up the Halloween parade and the trick or trunk, so I'm not going to repeat that. The next meeting, because we're having election here on Tuesday, November the 8th, there will be no council meeting. So our council meeting will be scheduled for Wednesday, let's see.
Tuesday.
No, it'll be
15th.
scheduled either Wednesday or Thursday. So that'd be November 16th or 17th.
Your
And that-
chamber meeting.
That's chamber
Okay.
meeting,
Chamber, yeah.
chamber meeting.
Okay.
And
Just
that
go.
will be announced later. Right now, when I talked to Kevin, he wasn't sure. So he said, let's just hold off on that, but that's an approximate date. So we'll be back in touch with that. Historical Society, our meeting is going to be held on Thursday, November 17th, here in the Borough Building. And our guest speaker is going to be Dick Williams. He is from the Oakmont Historical Society. And his presentation is going to be the Forgotten People of Gettysburg. And we extend we extend coming to these meetings. They're very, very good. They're interesting and you learn so much from them. So these are open to the public, so everyone is welcome. We'd love to have you. Trimбoro Ministries, the community dinners are actually going to be held tomorrow at the United Methodist Church here in Verona from 4:30 to 6:30, and it's going to be hosted by Riverside Church. And now with the seasons changing, they're going to have soups and apple dumplings. And if you'd like to have them, you'll have to call Shirley Davis at 412-828-3412. to place your order. And ALOM, they are going to have an Allegheny County Boroughs Association general membership meeting, and that's coming up on Thursday, December 1st. And this meeting is going to be held at the South Hills Country Club. And registration deadline is Wednesday, November 21st. And the program is going to include swearing in of the new officers, also policy updates, and networking with fellow local government officials. And if you'd like to go, you can call 412-261-2521 to register. A reminder, again, don't forget to vote on Tuesday, November the 8th. Polls open at 7, close at 8 p.m. And if you have any other questions or comments, I'll be glad to take them.
Sylvia, excuse me. If we have a historical society meeting the 17th, Chamber cannot be here because this is where we have our meetings.
I'll remind them. Thank you.
Yeah, if you can tell Kevin to sort of stick to the 16th.
Great, thank you. And I just remembered our Verona Community Newsletter is doing a fundraiser. We're selling lottery tickets, a lottery raffle, I should say. The tickets are $5 and it pays $25 each day, except on December 25. So Rhoda has tickets, I have them, and our editor, Dawn Wolf, has them. Also Angela, our treasurer, Angela Capinti, has them. So please support your newsletter. This is our only means of news, so we need to hold on to it. So please support it. They're only $5 a ticket. And if there are no questions or comments, this concludes my reports, and I thank you.
Thank you, Sylvia.
You're welcome.
That is like that. Comments from the public, comments here, council here, comments from the public. At this time, please approach your podium, state your name and address, and keep it to 3 minutes, please.
Hello, Tim Long, 323 Penn Street, President of Parks and Recreation. 2 weeks ago on Friday, the power went out up on the hill. It went out like at Cribs, I guess, on North and a couple other places. We were luckily up there. The power was out in the entire concession stand. And when it came back on, it blew all the GFI plugs in the concession stand. I was there, I turned them all back on in the concession stand area. And it wasn't until Sunday when we were up there for football that we realized that the plug inside of the middle room where the modem was, that GFI switch actually controls all the power in that room. So when it blew out the modem and the cameras, and they weren't on from Friday till Sunday. I don't know, you can talk to the chief. That should have been caught before 3 days went by, not having any cameras or Cribs.
Yeah, there's whoever's unlocking and locking the field per the policy is supposed to be checking for damage, making sure the toilets aren't clogged, making sure the power's on. So if it was either DPW or it was Friday, so that.
It would have been the police then over the weekend.
Yeah, so then they should have went in. and
When
checked
was
for
this?
that.
'Cause I think that was the week I was out of town.
Yeah, Friday was when the
Was.
power went out.
Just this past Friday.
2
No,
weeks
it
ago.
was just
It
remember,
was 2
there
weeks
was
ago.
a business outing or
The commercial outing. was what you
Commercial
told
power
me.
outage.
There was
14,
one of the switches broke over at First Street.
Yeah,
that was
substation.
it. That was it.
So we just gotta, if the power does go out on Second Street, someone has to be up at the concession stand because the refrigerator, the freezer, if anyone's storing anything in there for an event coming up, they're gonna blow and they're not gonna be on. Plus, if that GFI in the back blows, then there's no cameras, there's no Wi-Fi up
Yeah,
there.
and if I understand what you're saying, if there's an incident at the park. And
Exactly.
we need to review the video cameras, then they're not on,
Exactly.
so.
And I think they just need to do a little better job. They're opening up the bathrooms and that, but they're not checking them. We get up there Sunday morning and the toilets are clogged and we're up there cleaning the bathrooms Sunday morning before football starts. I don't mind cleaning them when we're there, but the toilet shouldn't be clogged when we get up there. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thanks, Tim.
Yeah, that should help.
Anybody else? Anybody virtual, Vince?
Luke Maddox, hold on, let me
Oh, I'm
see.
sorry. You can want to,
Amy Paluso again, 421 East Brill Avenue. I had just two minor comments. I had a discussion at one point regarding also possibly posting the speed limit down the other end in hopes to prevent some of the employees from going down the end of the road way too fast, just sort of the safety concerns of neighbors, especially the children on the street as well. But moreover, I wanted to take a moment to say thank you to everybody for their help. Mayor Recupero, thank you for your guidance and your concern to get me to this point with the issue. Council in general, but particularly council members, Showalter, Floda, and Craig for taking the time and effort. You helped bring about the resolution to this issue. You were diligent in making sure that you understood the issue, came out, surveyed the property, understood the issue, worked hard to devise a situation that worked for everyone and not only one-sided, issue in this case. It's nice to see that individual residents such as, myself, my mother and everything, are taken seriously and not overshadowed by commercial business concerns of residents' concerns. But we're met with fairness, education of the process, and determination to make sure the residents' voices were heard. And I really appreciate everybody's effort. All the residents should appreciate council's efforts to ensure that their rights and views are heard and valued. Your dedication to the residents of this borough is unwavering and greatly appreciated. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. And we'll try to get on that as soon as we can. Nobody else here? Luke?
Go ahead, Luke.
Yeah, hi, Luke Maddox, 234 Penn Street. Just a reminder that I do need the dimensions of that rectangle, that the Verona, is what size that rectangle is on the pavilion.
Okay,
If the street crew could get that to me, that would be great.
Put that on your list, right?
yeah.
Do we have the plans?
Yeah, but I've been in architecture, and
Okay.
sometimes the plans aren't the actual measurements.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's better if they just climb up and measure it. Because the plans might waver a half inch or an inch or something.
And just to clarify, it will be painted metal.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you. And I don't know if you heard us, thank you for you and your wife and their litter getters for all the litter getter picking up you do.
Yes, we heard and we appreciate your thanks.
Yes, hey, Luke, one real quick question. Would it be, since you work with this stuff every day, to epoxy it on or screw it on?
I think it should be screwed on and I think I can get touch-up paint for the tech screws so they would match the back, of the panel.
Thank you.
Thanks, Luke.
You're welcome.
Any other names?
Luke again, but I think he's just on twice.
With that being
was
said-
it.
With that being said, I take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make it.
Motion by Sylvia,
Second.
second by Red Craig. All in favor? Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you for coming, everybody.
There's a lot of strong epoxy. I know, I
Oh,
just used a whole bunch.
That's why
Halloween
I
decorating.
asked that question.
Oh, gosh, thank you so much. Yeah, choice of all